The destroyer was built to survive war. Steel plates thicker than a man's arm, guns powerful enough to tear cities apart, engines designed to outrun death itself. In the Japanese Navy, it was considered untouchable, a symbol of dominance on the open sea. And yet, on a dark night in the Pacific, it would be hunted by wood. Not a fleet, not a battleship, not even steel, just a small wooden boat, vibrating as it cut through black water. This is not a story about size or firepower. This is a story about arrogance, desperation, and the moment a navy realized it had underestimated the enemy who refused to die quietly. By the late years of World War II, Japan's empire was bleeding. The grand victories were gone. The carriers were sunk. The skies no longer belonged to them. American forces were pushing island by island, closer to Japan's home waters. And the Imperial Japanese Navy was desperate to hold the line. Destroyers became the backbone of survival. Fast, aggressive, heavily armed. Their job was simple: protect supply routes, intercept enemy ships, and crush anything smaller before it became a threat. One such destroyer sailed confidently through the night, radar sweeping the sea, crew alert but calm. To them, the ocean was empty. The enemy was far away. Nothing small could possibly challenge a ship like this. That belief would become fatal. Unknown to them, American forces had begun to fight a different kind of naval war. They had learned something crucial. Japan's large ships were powerful, but predictable. So America answered steel with speed, firepower with stealth, and complexity with simplicity. The PT boat, light, fast, wooden, barely armored, armed not with massive guns, but with torpedoes designed to punch far above their weight. Most Japanese commanders dismissed them as pests, annoyances, targets easily eliminated by a single well-aimed shell. They were wrong. On this night, the PT boat crew knew exactly what they were facing. They could not survive a direct hit. They could not outrun the destroyer forever. Their only advantage was surprise. The boat moved silently, engines throttled low, slicing through waves like a shadow. Every man aboard understood the stakes. If detected too early, they would be vaporized in seconds. No second chances, no backup. The destroyer loomed in the distance, a dark shape against the stars, bristling with guns. It was larger than anything the PT crew had ever faced. Its presence felt unreal, like challenging a fortress with a knife. But the PT boat did not turn away. As they closed the distance, tension became physical. Hands tightened on controls, eyes strained into darkness. Every ripple of water felt too loud. Then the radar sweep passed them. Missed, for now. The destroyer continued forward, unaware that death was approaching from beneath its own arrogance. This was not supposed to happen. Warships like this were designed to dominate oceans, not be stalked by wooden boats. Doctrine said destroyers hunted small craft, not the other way around. But war does not care about doctrine. The PT boat commander made the call. Attack! Engines roared to life. The small boat leapt forward, skipping across the water at terrifying speed. The sudden noise shattered the illusion of safety. On the destroyer, alarms screamed. Spotlights snapped on, cutting through darkness. Gun crews scrambled. Orders were shouted, overlapping, confused. They had seconds. The PT boat zigzagged wildly, tracers slicing the air around it. Shells slammed into the water, throwing up walls of spray. One direct hit would end everything. But the boat kept coming. Torpedoes were armed. The distance closed. For the Japanese crew, disbelief turned into panic. How could something so small dare to attack something so powerful? And then it happened. A torpedo left the tube. Then another. White trails cut through the Black Sea, racing toward the destroyer's hull. The Japanese ship tried to turn, too slow. The first impact shook the entire vessel. Steel screamed. Men were thrown from their feet. Power flickered. The second hit was worse. Explosions ripped through the engine room. Fire surged upward. The destroyer's speed died in moments. The unthinkable had occurred. Wood had crippled steel. As the PT boat tore away into darkness, the destroyer burned, listing heavily, its guns silent, its confidence shattered. But the story was not over, because the damage was far worse than anyone realized. Below deck, fires spread, flooding overwhelmed pumps. Ammunition cooked off. The ship's fate was sealed. And for the Japanese Navy, this was more than a loss. It was a revelation. Their mightiest destroyers were no longer safe, not from fleets, not from battleships, but from small, fast, fearless boats that refused to play by the old rules of war. By the time the Japanese destroyer cuts through the black water, the officers on its bridge feel confident. Too confident. This ship is a monster of steel and firepower. Its guns can tear enemy vessels apart from miles away. Its armor is built to survive aircraft attacks. Its crew is trained, disciplined, and battle-hardened. Against such power, a wooden boat should not even exist. And yet, somewhere in the darkness ahead, it does. The Japanese destroyer's radar shows faint movement. Small, fast, almost insignificant. The bridge officers exchange brief glances, unconcerned. Patrol craft, they assume. Harmless nuisances. They do not slow down. That is the second mistake. Below deck, sailors joke quietly, unaware that the war has just narrowed down to a few square meters of ocean. Above them, the night feels strangely alive. Waves slap against steel like warning knocks no one wants to hear. Then a lookout stiffens, movement to starboard. Not one boat, several. Low in the water, wooden hulls, engines barely whispering. They are not charging recklessly. They are maneuvering, circling, studying. These are not fishermen. These are hunters. The alarm is raised too late. Searchlights snap on, slicing through the darkness. For a brief second, the wooden boats are exposed, fragile, crude, absurdly small against the destroyer's towering silhouette. The bridge exhales in relief, then the boats split apart. They move like insects, darting in different directions. The destroyer's main guns cannot track them fast enough. Turrets rotate, struggling to lock onto targets that vanish between waves. Machine guns open fire, bullets tearing into the sea, splintering wood. But the boats keep coming. Because they were never meant to survive. Each small craft carries a deadly secret. Explosives packed into their bows, wired for detonation. Their mission is simple and final. Ram the enemy, die, win. Inside one of the wooden boats, a young sailor grips the controls, his face rigid with concentration. He knows the destroyer's guns could erase him in seconds. He also knows that if he hesitates, the mission fails. This is not courage born of glory. This is obedience sharpened by despair. The Japanese destroyer finally lands a direct hit. One wooden boat erupts in flame, vanishing instantly. The crew cheers, then stops, because the other boats are closer now. Too close. The destroyer turns hard, trying to outrun them, but steel is slow to react. The engines roar. The hull leans. Water crashes over the deck. One boat slams into the side of the ship, but fails to detonate. It scrapes along the hull, spinning away. Broken, but alive. The bridge exhales again. That relief lasts seconds. Another boat emerges from the blind spot, right where the guns cannot reach. There is no time to turn. No time to fire. No time to pray. The impact is deafening. The explosion does not sound like thunder. It sounds like the ship screaming. Steel bends, plates tear open. Fire bursts upward as if the ocean itself has ignited. Men are thrown from their feet. Lights die instantly. The destroyer shudders, wounded, but not yet dead. Damage control teams rush in, fighting flames, sealing compartments, dragging the injured away from rising smoke. The captain orders full power. They will survive this, he believes. They have to. But the wooden boats are not finished. One remains. The final craft has been waiting, engines idling, hidden behind the smoke and confusion. Its pilot watches the destroyer struggle forward, bleeding oil and fire. He pushes the throttle. The boat surges ahead, bouncing violently over waves. Bullets tear through the air, ripping into wood. punching holes that do not matter anymore. The sailor does not slow down. He aims for the wound already torn open in the hull. For a split second, the destroyer's crew locks eyes with him. They understand. The explosion is catastrophic. It strikes directly beneath the ship's center, where armor is weakest. The blast lifts part of the destroyer out of the water before slamming it back down. Internal compartments collapse. Seawater floods in faster than pumps can remove it. The engines die. The ship begins to list. Orders echo through the smoke. Abandon ship, fight the fire, save the wounded. But chaos overwhelms discipline. Flames spread through corridors. Ammunition cooks off. The steel giant, once unstoppable, is now helpless. And the ocean is patient. Minutes pass like hours. The list grows steeper. Sailors jump into the dark water, some burned, some bleeding, some silent. Others cling to wreckage, staring back at a ship they trusted with their lives. Then slowly, impossibly, the destroyer rolls. Its guns slide into the sea. Its decks vanish beneath the waves. Steel, fire, pride, all swallowed by darkness. When the water finally closes, it leaves behind nothing but oil, debris, and stunned survivors floating in silence. A wooden boat has destroyed one of Japan's mightiest warships. Not with strength, with sacrifice. But the true cost of this victory has not yet been revealed. Because the men who ordered this attack have learned a dangerous lesson. And they are about to use it again, on a far larger scale. By now, the Japanese destroyer believes it has won. The sea is calm again. Smoke thins. The small wooden boat is gone from sight, swallowed by darkness and waves. On the bridge of the destroyer, officers exchange confident glances. A minor skirmish, they assume. Another insignificant enemy vessel erased by superior firepower. This is how empires fall. Not from lack of strength, but from certainty. The destroyer slows, its massive engines rumbling with restrained power. Lookouts scan the water casually now, not urgently. The night feels controlled again. Steel has asserted dominance over wood, technology over desperation. But beneath the surface, the truth is moving silently. The small boat is not gone. It is waiting. The crew of the wooden craft huddles together, soaked, shaking, but alive. Their boat is damaged, scarred by shrapnel, but still floating. They are not trained naval elites. They are fishermen, reservists, men who know tides better than tactics. They understand something the destroyer's officers do not. Big ships see far, but they cannot see everything. The destroyer's massive guns cannot aim low enough. Its speed becomes a weakness in tight waters. Its confidence blinds it. The small boat circles wide, keeping the destroyer in sight while staying just outside detection. The men whisper, they argue. Fear presses in. This was never supposed to be a fight. But retreat is no longer an option. Japan's destroyer shifts course, heading toward deeper water. Its commander believes the threat has passed. The enemy, he assumes, has either fled or sunk. That assumption will cost him everything. The small boat accelerates. Its engine coughs, sputters, then steadies. The men aboard grip ropes, weapons, and one last torpedo salvaged from an earlier mission. It is old, unreliable, temperamental, but it is all they have. As the distance closes, the destroyer's lookout finally notices movement. A shadow against the water, too small to be dangerous, too late to ignore. The alarm is raised, but not urgently. Another mistake. The destroyer turns its guns again, but the angle is wrong. The small boat is too close now. Too fast, too low. Machine guns open fire, ripping the water into fountains. Bullets tear through wood. One man screams. Another falls. Blood mixes with seawater. Still, the boat keeps coming. This is no longer strategy. This is will. The men aboard know they will not survive another pass. They have seconds, maybe less. They aim the torpedo. Hands tremble. Breath stops. The destroyer looms above them like a moving city of steel. Its hull blocks out the stars. Its engines thunder like a god's heartbeat. And then the torpedo launches. It leaves the tube with a violent jolt, slicing through the water toward the destroyer's exposed side. The crew watches, frozen, unable to blink. For a heartbeat, nothing happens. Then steel screams. The torpedo hits below the waterline. The explosion is not loud at first. It is deep, a hollow, crushing sound that ripples through the destroyer's frame. Metal bends, compartments rupture. Water surges inside with unstoppable force. The mightiest destroyer in the region staggers. Lights flicker, alarms wail. Men are thrown from their feet. The ship lists hard to port. Panic replaces confidence in seconds. Damage control teams rush forward. But the breach is catastrophic. The torpedo has struck fuel storage. Fire erupts beneath the deck. Thick black smoke pours into corridors. The destroyer tries to accelerate, but its engines fail. Steel, once proud and unstoppable, is now wounded and helpless. On the small boat, the surviving crew stares in disbelief. They have done the impossible, but victory has a cost. Japanese guns fire wildly now, enraged, desperate. Shells slam into the water around the small boat. One direct hit shatters the bow. The boat splits, wood cracking like bone. The men are thrown into the sea. Some sink immediately, some cling to debris. They watch from the water as the destroyer burns. Minutes pass. The fire spreads. Ammunition detonates internally. The ship lists further, its massive silhouette tilting toward the ocean. The commander orders evacuation, but it is chaos. Lifeboats jam smoke blinds. Flames cut off escape routes. Then the destroyer breaks. Its hull splits with a sound like thunder. The ship that was built to dominate the sea begins to sink. Slowly at first, then faster, dragging men, steel, and pride into the depths. The ocean claims it without emotion. Silence follows, floating debris. Oil slicks, survivors crying out in the dark. The small wooden boat is gone. The destroyer is gone. And the battle that was never supposed to matter has rewritten the rules of war. By the time dawn begins to rise, the Japanese destroyer is no longer a symbol of power. It is a wounded giant. Its steel hull is scorched. Fires rage uncontrollably below deck. Compartments meant to be sealed are flooding. Radios crackle with broken commands. Men who trained their entire lives for naval glory now fight smoke, heat, and rising water instead of an enemy. And all of this was caused by a boat made of wood. Inside the destroyer's command center, officers finally understand the truth they refused to accept. This was never meant to be a fair fight. Their ship was designed to battle cruisers and aircraft, not an invisible enemy that struck once and vanished into darkness. The torpedo did not just rip through steel. It shattered certainty. Damage control teams work desperately. Valves are sealed, fires are smothered. Pumps struggle against the incoming sea. But the destroyer is losing power, and with it, hope. The captain faces a decision no commander wants to make. Save the ship or save the men. As the list grows heavier, the ocean begins to claim the lower decks. Ammunition stores become unstable. One secondary explosion rocks the hull, throwing sailors against bulkheads, turning corridors into traps. The order finally comes. Abandon ship. Some men hesitate, others jump immediately. Lifeboats hit the water unevenly. Flames reflect off oil-slick waves as the destroyer, once feared across the Pacific, begins its slow descent. There is no dramatic final explosion, just the sound of steel screaming as it bends under pressure. The ship rolls, then disappears. Silence follows, floating debris, burning oil, survivors clinging to wreckage. The sea swallows what moments ago was considered untouchable, and the small wooden boat that delivered the killing blow? It is already gone, hidden by distance, protected by darkness. Its crew never sees the destroyer sink. They only feel the weight of what they have done settle into their chests. They know something has changed. This battle does not make headlines immediately. There are no grand announcements, no victory parades, just quiet reports moving up command chains, leaving senior officers uneasy. Because this was not supposed to happen. A destroyer was meant to dominate small craft, not be destroyed by them. But this moment exposes a truth the war has been circling for years. Technology does not guarantee control. Size does not guarantee survival. Power does not guarantee safety. The war at sea is no longer about who has the biggest guns. It is about who adapts faster. For Japan, the loss is more than a ship. It is a warning. Their navy was built for decisive battles between equals, not a war of attrition filled with ambushes, improvisation, and asymmetry. Wood has beaten steel, not through strength, but through timing, courage, and understanding the enemy's blind spots. For the men who survived, the memory never fades. Some remembered the moment the torpedo hit. Others remember the screams, the fire, the impossible realization that their mighty ship was dying. And for the crew of the small boat, there is no celebration, only silence, tension, and the knowledge that they will be hunted next. This is how the Pacific War truly unfolds, not just through massive fleets and legendary battles, but through moments like this, where expectations collapse and reality writes its own rules. History will remember battleships and carriers, but wars are often decided by smaller moments. A single boat, a single strike, a single mistake. The destroyer was built to survive storms, shells, and steel enemies. It was never prepared for wood, courage, and the element of surprise. And that is why it never survived the first hit. Final resolution and impact. This battle reminds us that arrogance is heavier than armor, that certainty can be more dangerous than the enemy, and that even the mightiest machines can fall when they underestimate what seems insignificant. In war, it is not always the strongest who survive. It is the ones who understand that power is fragile, and the sea shows no mercy to those who forget it.